Namaste. We're glad that you're back with us.
You know, we really are, and this is actually part 2 of the Blood Moon Prophecies. And with the Blood Moon Prophecies, if you have not already watched the video on the April 14th ceremony and learned a little bit about the context of these prophecies, we encourage you to do so because there is a lot of valuable information and energy involved in that. However, the intention of this video, we want to just make this clear right off the bat. It's not to scare anyone, it's not to invoke fear. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. Our goal is to disseminate information as has come through our stream of divine communion along with the High Oracle of the Maya. Some of the information that we're going to share with you right now came through during the ceremony of April 14. Some of it has come through before, and our objective is to synthesize these prophecies so that you can have a model. Now remember, stay with us because May 8th is the next ceremony. This is an open process, so if you're catching this video before May 8th, remember to make a note to come back and see probably around May 9 the next video after the May 8th ceremony is done. However, no matter when you're listening to this, it's appropriate because we're going to be talking about 2014 through 2022.
Now that's quite a number of years.
Yeah.
And it's the blink of an eye in cosmic time. It's sometimes we take ourselves so seriously we think our lifetime is it. That's all there is, you know. If it happened in my childhood and therefore I behave this way in adulthood and I interpret all of the spiritual information to fit my little time slice. Well, there's some value in that and there's some delusion in that because our planet, our shared existence has been going through its own cycle, thousands of years. And we are indeed at a time of culmination. But a time of culmination in the cosmic sense runs many years.
Now, you know, Shri, I want to start right there. I want to interrupt for a moment because this is one thing I want to share. Shri and I did a lot of writing about 2012, and you know, those are timeless books. 2012 Atlantean Revelations, especially 2012 You Have a Choice. Very powerful, powerful books, as is 2013 Mind Sunrise. And the reason I'm interrupting right here is we had consistently been delivering what turned out to be the most accurate information around 2012 of any person who was delivering it. So if you're saying to yourself, why should I bother listening to you? Well, maybe we have a history of accurate sharing. And all of our predictions came from the Maya themselves through these profound ceremonies and through our own trance work that comes through me and Shri together. Even though I'm the mouthpiece, it's the two of us together. And so if you're saying, well, what's up here? Let me just share with you this, that any of the prophecies that we're going to share with you right now, we are living them. And this is why we chose to move to the heart of the Americas. We love the United States. We love living there. We love everything it's given us. However, we felt that in our mission, being international citizens was a higher priority, and anchoring in the heart of the heart, in a country that quite frankly has a lot of myth and mystery run around it that's not true either, was very, very important to hold presence. And so as you listen to these predictions, we invite you to hold presence, because the Mayan elders said from day one, now not the ones that were paid and politicized, remember, any Mayan elder that speaks very good English, any Mayan elder that's running around the country giving what we call tourist ceremonies, any Mayan elder that lets you take pictures of them, notice you have never seen a picture of the High Oracle of the Maya, any of these elders that are allowing others to profit from them are doing so because, quite frankly, they need the money. And what they're doing has good intention. However, they feed into the populace. We're offering you the truth. And the reality is the truth is not that popular, except for those of you that are wise enough to watch it and to feel it. And so the truth is that they knew that the calendar had been read incorrectly. They knew that 2012 was nothing more than the turn of a Bach tune.
A turn of a Bach tune is like the changing of a month, only it's the grander cycle. And so, without getting into all of the details, because it would be far more time than our intention for this sharing, but we will be sharing in subsequent videos some detailed information on some of what we're touching today. You know, for example, remember, this planet, our existence here is birthed of duality. It's birthed of the energy we call allness. Now, allness means that in a free will zone, everything is permitted. Everything has the opportunity for expression, and that in the energy of duality, you will have what people perceive as good and evil, dark and light.
Exactly, because there's no judgment around that permission. Remember, only we apply the judgment. So of course, in allness, everything, and without limits, must and will express.
And so it's, if you can accept that this is kind of the cosmic paintbrush, that we are in a zone where allness was coming forth, and that the beings, meaning us, who were living through the allness were finding their way back to oneness. So we have the allness as a vehicle for oneness.
Right.
If you get caught up in the allness and start applying judgments and anger and hurt and human values, you're going to dance there for a long time.
And you have a choice. You know, give you an example. We want to clear the air about something that we've heard, which is Shri and I pulled out of what we call the New Age Carnivals several years ago. And we did that because we noticed that they were becoming heavily politicized, meaning that there's a political circle within all realms. It's part of the Kali Yuga energy. We made a conscious choice. Our conscious choice was not to be corrupted by that. We see peers that we know very, very well who are now basically the victims of mass media publicity photos. When I visit some of their websites, it makes me sad because all I see is high done publicity photos that are sensed on ego and why they are the end all. The reality is that we are all the end all.
We are all special.
We are all special, and you know, we are all offering the gifts that we can. However, Shri and I decided to really not be tempted. We had all that offer around us, and we said, when we want to connect to the heart, we want to hold the energy of the heart. And I mention this because we are in the new back tune, we are in the new cycle, and the allness is huge. And so because of that, we are seeing a lot. And in that, there's a lot to get angry about if you choose anger. And remember, anger's profitable. And this is why we invite you to lift through spiritual activism into ascension awareness. You know, when people come here to the Self-Ascension Sanctuary in Guatemala and spend time with us, what we're intending is that this information is delivered in the spirit it's intended as a way to assist you to awaken to your wisdom, to your truth. And that's why we're sharing this with you today, because 2014, let's just start right there.
Let's give you some bullets on, on some of the things that we're seeing that are flowing our way. 2014
is a creative year. Believe it or not, it's a manifest year of creative abundance. Now, what that means is you have the kind of everything has its polarities. So you're going to either have an incredible year, you're going to create, you're going to be abundant, you're going to bring manifestation forward in ways you never have before if you focus on that.
So let's take a look at this chronologically a little bit. From the year 2000 to 2012, there was an acceleration. You know, people talked about time speeding up, more and more energy, more and more people waking up to what's going on.
Yeah.
And this crescendo of energy has built into what we might consider a little bit of a plateau zone that began at December 21, 2012 through the year 2013.
Yep.
And all of that energy there available. What energy like that means is you can manifest in ways that you weren't able to manifest prior.
And how many of you have noticed a distinct difference between 2014 and 2013? 2013 was probably much more chaotic. Well, remember, beloved ones, this chaos was brought on by the highly profitable doom and gloom scenarios, by the prophecies around 2012 set up a chaotic imbalance, so we needed 2013 to rebalance to launch 2014.
And so 2014 is an opportunity for you to really stabilize yourself in your spiritual path. In many ways, 2014 is the calm before the storm.
And that's very literal. However, one of the things that the Mayan elders have revealed to us is we are in what they call a Bats year. And Bats is the bat. And there's a lot of energy around Bats. And this is why the polars I was talking about, we are also going to see a lot of creation on, you know, the light and the dark. We're going to see a lot of creation around war, positioning, countries, geographic lines, and yes, the earth herself. come later half of this year, we're going to start seeing some really tumultuous storms. Excuse me, we're in an Emosh year, and Emosh is all about water. Bots is coming. And so Emosh, we're going to probably see a very brisk hurricane season. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
Earthquakes.
If you reflect back on the summer of 2013 and the winter of 2013, lots of weather issues.
Yeah, and they're
coming
going to
into
be
2014.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to continue.
And they're going to, and it's going to build because in 2015, 2016, 2017, we have a 3-year cycle of really intense climate change.
Intense climate change, and most likely the changes will be reflected through the political system as well. Many people have been talking about when will there be the economic collapse, when will the dollars take a hit and suffer. And so many people are talking about it that my hunch is the government has already put in place a transition plan for that time. But the only reason I bring that up now is that changes in the weather are a reflection of an energy that also runs through structures.
And a manipulated consciousness. Remember that these changes in the weather are man-made. The extent of the man-made has been hidden from you. However, we actually have a weather war happening globally. And we're sharing this with you not to get angry, but to witness it as the allness playing out. It has to do this, my loves. It has to do this.
So some bullet points that we won't explain, that you can find some information on throughout the internet, is yes, the dollar will have a devaluation. Yes, chemtrails are real.
Oh, yeah.
Our skies are being polluted. Yes, HAARP is a manipulation tool and weather wars are happening. Yes, there are all kinds of perverse weaponry held in secret bunkers. Now, all of those are pretty doom and gloom bullet points, but yes, more people are awakening than any other time in history. Yes, our technology has the power to reverse the damage we've inflicted on the planet. And yes, there are people who are gathering to bring forth positive visions. So the allness is happening.
Because you cannot bring forth the positive vision without the recognition of what is playing out. If you just stick your head in the sand and say, I'm going to repeat positive mantras, then what you're really saying is, I'm not playing in the allness. We need to dance. You know, this is a Leela. We need to dance in the allness. And as we dance in the allness, we will reunify in the oneness.
Yes.
Bear in mind that the Mayan elders, and one of the things that came up during our blood moon ceremony, and remember this was our first blood moon ceremony, but one of the things that came up during that ceremony as we were talking about the turn of the cycles is that, remember, your life, so your personal life goes in 13-year cycles according to the Maya. This turns with the Baktuns. And so if you look at the 13-year cycles in your life, every time you hit that, you're at another initiation, you're at another cycle. What everyone saw and profited by and made a lot of money around in 2012, the Maya themselves, in the circles that will not interface with those who wish to politicize, publicize, profitize, they have seen this happening between 2017 and 2019 and culminating around 2022. If you're worried or concerned about a third world war or a conflict, the reality is that yes, we are building up that, and yes, we are going to see conflict. However, and it's going to be traumatic, and the Mayan elder, our hierarchical, is so beautiful. He looks you straight in the eye and says, but it will not be the end of the world. The world will not end. What will end is the way that we are living, the way that we are doing things. And quite frankly, the allness, it's like a rubber band. Imagine a rubber band, right? And you have it and it's light and it's flexible. When you start stretching, when you stretch that rubber band, it's harder to pull it, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
the closer it gets to the end,
builds.
the tension. Well, that's where we're at. Our rubber band is at its just about peak. Well, when you pull it enough, if you don't relax it, it breaks. And so that's where we're at.
And if you do relax it, it never goes back to where it started from.
Because it's bigger, right? Then it's a bigger stretched out rubber band. And so we're at that point. Are we going to relax it where we have a bigger venue to be looking at as far as how we play this game on the planet, meaning that we're going to continue with the way we're getting out of touch with ourselves? Or are we going to keep pulling, which is kind of humanity's way, so much that it snaps?
Until we get stung in some fashion.
Exactly.
And then wake up through the sting.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to share with you is that the shift on our planet really started 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Around the early 1900s. And human nature, human souls being what they are, there was a moment where a lot of people were awakening in the early 1900s. Then came World War II. And an extreme reaction of the forces that would seek to contaminate or to contain this evolution of light. During the Nazi concentration camps, one of the people incarcerated was Viktor Frankl, who was a brilliant psychiatrist. And he wrote a book that many of you may have heard of. It's called Man's Search for Meaning.
If you've never read it, really do yourself a favor.
But the allegory, here's the value that you can call forth from this. In the most horrific of conditions where people were starving, they had their will was being imposed upon, their freedoms were taken, they were being damaged, hurt. What he observed is the ones that survived, and meaning thrived in spirit and survived in life, were the ones that brought love to that experience, that shared the little piece of food that they were given, they shared it with others, that they saw love as their respite. And one of his quotations...
Not anger. At a time when, think about how that anger would eat you alive. So it's such a powerful allegory for this moment.
Instead of becoming bitter and feeling, you know, the assault of that damaging imprint, I wrote it down so I could read it in his exact words. Here's what he said. What is to give light must endure burning. What is to give light must endure burning.
How brilliant.
And he wrote a book also entitled Saying Yes to Life. Now, if in those horrific conditions he can find the essence of his soul and his spirit and walk out with a smile on his face, then truly he is a torchbearer, offering light. And we can learn from that.
And this is the gift of ascension awareness. You know, if you watch some of our videos, we've talked about the Pyramid of Spiritual Awakening, or read our book 2012, You Have a Choice, where we really go into this in depth. But very, very quickly, because we want to keep this video short so that you'll read it and you'll share it. Share it with as many people as you can. But in the Pyramid of Spiritual Awakening, you're born into density consciousness, which is me-focused. Then, as you grow, as you have life experience, you move up into spiritual activism. Spiritual activism is actually a step forward because you go from a me, me, me to a we. However, it's my we against your we, right? It's an us versus them. It's actually the most dangerous level of the pyramid, and the planet has been stuck there for 2,000 years. We have actually been there now about 2,100 years. So consider that we have been stuck in the spiritual activism.
What? How is that so? Consider the brilliant light that was brought forth through the life of Jesus Christ, through the life of the Buddha, through other great sages.
All of the great sages and prophets, not just a few.
And their spiritual wisdom and energy was transmuted into dogma and
spiritual activism. That's what dogma is.
Conditional identity.
Right.
And so, you know, the Buddha didn't give birth to create Buddhists, as is Christ didn't give birth to create Christians. They brought a message, they brought an energy, they brought a wisdom for you to ignite recognition.
And when we saw, and again, this is why we want to kind of set the record straight, when we saw what was happening in the arena that we were doing our best to get our message out initially, when we saw that it was all about competition, that it was all about I'm better than you, when it was all about my we versus your we were grateful for the lesson, because that's what it was. It showed us the power of spiritual activism. I think there's even classes promoting it. And we're saying, great, it's a step. Just try to allow yourself to grow through it rather than get stuck into it. Because here's the key.
Magic words, to grow through.
Rather than get stuck in. Because spiritual activism will always have anger. Any form of activism has anger.
Or exclusion or judgment.
And we're not saying it isn't a powerful, meaningful step. I mean, heck, I lived in Washington, D.C. as a kid during the Iranian hostage crisis and was arrested for protesting. And I mean, I get it. We get it. However, it was a step along the way, right? And so the key is that what it does is it allows you to lift or to drop. It's pop or drop. And that's where humanity is right now. We're at pop or drop. We're either going to pop up into ascension awareness, where you can see what's playing out. Thereby you can be presence. You can do what you need to do to live your best life without having to have this affect you. Or you can drop, meaning go back down into the lower levels of spiritual activism or back into density consciousness and allow yourself to have a heck of a ride. You know, do it well. If you're going to be in it, then do it well. Don't hide from it. Don't hide from yourself. This is the ultimate come out of the closet moment for every being on this planet. And it's about your spiritual orientation, your sexual orientation, your life, your voice. Come out of the closet and live your life. And that's the greatest gift you can harness between now and 2022.
We trust that you will listen to your inner guidance, rely on your inner discernment, and take action thereupon. That's how we create a world of authenticity.
And if you enjoy what we're saying, then listen to our radio show every Sunday, posted on YouTube, usually by Tuesday. Come join us at Sri and Kara Live. Come down, meet the High Oracle of the Maya. The only way you can meet him and see him is to come down here and join us. We're a short flight from the U.S. And at the very least, feel our heart and our appreciation around you now.